guys, Jennifer from Scrapping Under the Influence. I am here with my process video for my advent calendar that I made this weekend at a crop with the Say Cheese Christmas from Simple Stories. I had the little advent calendar boxes from Country Craft Creations and had been trying to decide what I was going to do with them. I wanted to do something where I was using some more of the Say Cheese line. I still needed to do one more design team project for November, and I took it with me to a crop thinking, oh, maybe something will inspire me. And as I was attempting to go to sleep Friday night, I went, oh, I know what I'm gonna do. And this is what I did. So what we have is a 3-sided tower advent calendar. I have some little stickers with numbers on them that were out of my stash. I used some of the little word stickers that were with the collection, cut aparts, several of the different pattern papers to mat the fronts of the boxes and the sides of my box stacks, I guess, for lack of a better term. And then I had these fun little Prima trees that Tammy had sent me that I knew I wanted to do something with them. I wasn't sure if I was going to use them on an advent calendar, if I was going to use them in an explosion box, which would have been way cute. And I may still end up doing that because I think I've got some more of these in my stash. But, so yeah, I just used some seam binding for the pulls. Oh, my number sticker's gone off of that. It's got to be somewhere in my bag. To do the pulls on the drawers, I matted the inside with red artisan cardstock, and they all just slide in and out just beautifully, just like that. This goes together really fast, but because I did this at a crop, excuse me, I was not able to record as I did this, so I did just take pictures. I have gone through, added in measurements and whatnot on the different pictures so you can see what I'm doing, and I will talk you through my process in this video. So enjoy, and I hope to see some little advent towers in the future. Thanks. Okay, so to start, we're going to cut 3 pieces of chipboard 3 3/4 by 10 1/2. You also need 3 pieces of cardstock 5 3/4 by 12. You're going to line the chipboard up 1 inch from each side on the long side and 3/4 of an inch from the top and the bottom. And then we're going to wrap this in the new album wrapping style that Tammy has come up with. However, one side is going to be a flap to attach. One side is going to be the flap that folds all the way over. So you can see in the picture there what you're going to have when you trim corners out of one side and trim the triangles off the other side. The left side in the picture you're going to wrap all the way over. The other side you're going to glue down that top flap to create the flap to build the box. So you can see there, that's what you should have. You should have 3 of these total. You're going to turn them over, you're going to burnish them down, and you're going to glue them together one after the other. So there, you're going to burnish and you're going to glue those down side by side just like you do when making the album cover in the new style. Once they're glued together and they're burnished down, this is what you're going to have. You're going to fold all of these over and form a triangle and glue that last flap down. And there you have your base tower. Next, you're going to glue your boxes. You're going to have 3 stacks of 8 boxes. I glued them one at a time. Once I had them all glued, I did use a rubber band to hold them together to make sure they dry completely. For the triangle in the top, you're going to cut a square that is 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. You're going to measure 1 inch from the top and draw a horizontal line across the top. You're then going to come in on the sides, measure 1 inch from each side, and draw a vertical line. Find the center at the top and mark, and draw a line from the top to the bottom on the center. You're then going to measure down one of your vertical lines on the side, 3 1/4 inch, and mark that, and then you're going to draw a line across the bottom. You will then start in your upper left-hand corner and draw a line from that corner to where the center line intersects your bottom horizontal line. That's going to give you your triangle. You're going to cut your corners off as shown in the picture. After you cut your triangle out, you're going to leave a 1 inch border when you cut out that triangle. You're going to score on those lines where you see the triangle drawn. You're going to cut those corners off, fold that up, and that's how you're going to close up the top and the bottom, if you choose, of your triangle. You don't, of your tower. You don't have to close up the bottom if you don't want to. It gives it a little bit cleaner look, but it's not necessary if you don't want to. I started out by gluing one flap down on the inside and then putting glue on the other 2 flaps, fitting that down in, which we'll see in just a second. There we go. Fitting that down in, and then burnishing, reaching in with my ruler and burnishing those down. And that did seal up that top absolutely perfectly. Next, you're going to glue your towers of boxes to the sides of the tower. With this, I did the same thing. I got them glued down, and then I ran rubber bands around them to kind of hold them on there till they were good and dry, to make sure, just because the outside of those boxes are a little slippery. We're now going to cut 3 pieces of cardstock, 3 1/8 by 10 1/4. These are for to cover the sides of your boxes. You're going to cut 3 pieces, 3 1/8 by 2 1/2. You're going to score at 2 1/8 on the 2 1/2 inch side. That's going to cover the top of your white boxes. You're then going to cut 3 pieces, 2 1/8 by 11 3/4. Score those at 3/4 of an inch on each end on the 11 3/4 inch side. Those are going to cover up the back of the boxes so that your boxes don't slide all the way through. You're going to start by gluing the first flap of that long strip to the top of the box. I then ran a tiny bead of glue along each one of those seams where those boxes attach together, just so that that piece that's covering the back doesn't bow out and cause a gap. You're then going to fold that down on the end and glue that flap onto the bottom. And there you have your back covered. You're next going to take the small 3 1/8 by 2 1/2 inch piece that was scored at 2 1/8. You're going to adhere the small flap to the side, the front facing side of the box that does not have anything on it, and then glue the top down. That's going to hide and cover up that flap from the piece that's covering the back of the boxes. You're then going to finish off the side by gluing down the 3 1/8 by 10 1/4 inch piece on the side to cover up the side of the boxes. After you've covered all of those, that's what you're going to have. So you've got that nice back inside the little slots where all of your little boxes are going to go. You can cut 3 pieces of cardstock 3 1/8 by 2 1/8 to finish off the bottom of the box. Again, this is optional. If you didn't fill in the triangle on the bottom of the box, then you really don't need to do this piece either. I did both on mine just to give it a more finished look. It's entirely up to you which way you want to do this. For the insides of the drawers, those are matted with a piece of cardstock that is 2 7/8 by 1 7/8. You will need 24 pieces that size to mat the inside of every one of those little boxes. Again, that is optional. It just gives it a nice finished look when all is said and done. For the drawer pulls, I used a 1.5 inch piece of seam binding that I folded in half and glued to the front of each box. After that is glued down and then you mat the front of the box, it's more than strong enough. To mat the front, I used several different patterns of 1 1/16 by 1 7/8 inch cardstock. You'll need 24 of those. If you're going to add numbers, I used some little round number stickers. You could die cut some numbers. I believe Tammy had some metal numbers in the store that would be great as well. But that's all there is to it. Then just mat, decorate, and you are all done. And there is your advent calendar. I used some Prima trees on the top to decorate the top, but other than that, that's it. That's all there is to it. This actually comes together very, very quickly. You'll be surprised how fast this one comes together. I hope to see your versions of it on Scrapbookers of Country Craft Creations and on my page, Scrapping Under the Influence. Thanks!